Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. How are you, dear students? Did you do the homework? We had our reading lesson, which we are going to follow up, of course, in this lesson here. Now let's just revise what we took in our lesson. Now, of course, we have the World of TV, which is our main unit or the topic. We studied the formula behind detective stories on TV on pages 54 and 55. Now, just to revise here the detective stories, the parts or the elements that we discussed together. Now you can see that first of all we had generally something that is connected about the stories, where are they found. We have also something about why are they appealing, and we have here reasons for phenomenal success. So yes, we did read and discuss generally the idea of detective stories. Then in the second part we have here the characteristics. Of course, we have two parts. We have the characteristics of the hero and also the villain. Leading us to the last part, which is the main elements of the stories. Now, the main elements of the stories, I'm going to move to something wider here. Now you can see that we had discussed all of the parts that we have, yes. Now you can see that we have the mystery and intrigue, predict and solve the case. There is, of course, the hero and the villain. We have a mystery is introduced, intellectual reasoning, and technological devices to solve the mystery. And we have at the very end, there is action, danger, confrontation, and escaping. Now all of these are the parts that we discussed before, leading us to the homework that we have on page number 55. So what do we have on page number 55? Let's see. We have yes. Now answer true or false, then rewrite the false statements to make them true. Number one, detective stories are only popular on TV. Now we can agree that this one is false. Of course, we can see that there are different places that we can find. We can find them on, for example, online. We can see that there are books. Okay, so there are different places that we can find these stories. Now the second statement, we can see that it is true because we have here the success of detective stories is due to a combination of elements, which I just explained and revised with you. Now let's go to number three. Many elements of a detective story are predictable. So can you guess what's going to happen here? We can agree that this is yes, true. Number four, all detective stories have an intelligent and charming hero. Now, if you recall that we talked about three different types of heroes, so I think that this one is going to be yes, false. We have here, of course, there are different types of heroes and also different types of villains. Leading us to number five. Now, number five here, the formula of detective stories is likely to change in the future. Now we have here the idea of a mystery and the detective looking for the clues and just try to solve the mystery. So likely this is something that is, yes, false. Okay, so it's not likely to change. Now we discussed the corrections here. You can just revise the answers that we have. Now what about you? What have you seen and found interesting? Now we are going to move on to the second part, which is going to be the speaking on the same page that we have here in the reading. So before we start with the reading, or sorry, the speaking, we have our objectives. We have number one, to compare between two films or documentaries. We have number two, to analyze different elements in a film. We have number three, to organize research and outline points in a chart. And the last one, number four, to maximize opportunities for language practice. So we are going to move on and see what we have. Now you are asked to work in pairs or groups, compare two TV films or documentaries that you have seen. Now, do you recall the first lesson, the listen and discuss, when we had the documentary about Bruce Lee and his life and what happened to him? Now, this is a documentary because it is documented about his life. So you're going to compare between two TV films if you wish, or if you choose to compare between two documentaries, you can do it as the book directs you, as pairs or as in groups. It's up to you. Think about the characters, the setting, the plot. story development, special effects, and other features in the TV films. Or you can consider the theme setting, time period, history, special effects, and outcome in the documentaries. So we have here the films and the documentaries. Don't forget that you are going to compare between either two films or two documentaries. Now the second instruction here is to make notes in the appropriate chart. Use your notes to talk about the similarities and differences of the TV films, documentaries that you have compared in class. So what table or what chart? You can see on page number 55 that you have actually two tables. You can choose either to use the first one if you are going to compare between films, or you can choose the second one if you are going to compare between documentaries. So the table here, you can see that there are the different elements that I just read with you. And of course there is TV film number 1, TV film number 2, or documentary number 1, documentary number 2. You are going to just fill in the chart and then use the chart that you have here to speak in class with your other classmates. Now, detective stories are one of many film categories. So we did discuss something from the very start of our unit about different types of movies, or we can say film categories. So detectives are just one. You can see, for example, that we have here, there is, yes, from the pictures, you can see that there is something about action, or we have here adventure. Also, we can say that there are different animation movies, or we can add that there is something about biopics. We have also comedies, we have drama, and we have epics. We can add also that there are horror stories, and we have here science fiction. Moving on, we have here also, we can say that there is something about Western movies, and we have here war movies as well. Now, these are different categories. Still, we are looking for the exact word that we can use. So we're going to just use category until we move on. Now, the question here, what kind of TV films do you enjoy and why? Now, actually, there are many different types of movies, maybe even more than the ones that I mentioned here in the lesson. So you are going to just talk with a classmate. You're going to tell them what type of movies do you like and why. What is the reason? Why do you like them? Okay, so we have a yes/no question. Are there categories of TV films that you are not interested in or you dislike? So quite the opposite. Some films I do like, or types I do like, and some I don't. Also, you're going to answer why or why not. Can you explain what is meant by a film genre? Now, we mentioned the word category several times, and you understood the idea or the concept of different kinds of movies. Now, this is actually what we can call as a film genre. Now, a genre here is a type or a category. You can see that we have all the types that we had just followed up, and we can also add something different, like, for example, fantasy or mystery and so on. Now, these are different genres or different types or categories. Okay, so they are all correct. But we are going to agree on something. We are going to use these different genres in our next part, which is going to be the writing lesson. So we are going to talk about movie genres or film genres here in our lesson, which is the writing lesson. So our objectives are, number 1, list different film genres. Number 2, to state the characteristics of each type. Number 3, to scan for information and words. Number 4, to outline the genres mentioned in the lesson. And number 5, to compose ideas to write about a film genre clarifying its formula. So let's move on with our lesson. We have the book now. It's time to open our books. We have on page number 56, just to be ready here. Now, in the book, they have the question, what are genres and how are they defined? Now, there is a specific definition that we are going to look for here. Now, from what you understood from our discussion together, how can you define the word genre? Now, we can say, for example, that we have here, how easy is it to classify TV films? We are going to see here. And another question, are there distinct and permanent categories? Why or why not? Now, actually, these questions are mentioned in the book. We're going to follow up one by one, leading to the last part, what are the distinguishing characteristics of different genres? And we have here underlined highlight words, phrases, or sentences that provide the answer. So we have lots of interesting details that we are going to listen and read about before we start writing. Now we have the title. You can read the title with me. We have here, Main Genres of TV Films. So now we have the idea of what is the meaning of genre, but we are going to look for a definition. So you are going to listen, and we're going to start to highlight.
Film genres are categories of films based on theme, setting, plots, stories, characters, and other specific features such as special effects, computer enhancement, animation, etc. There are major genres and subgenres. For example, adventure and action films are quite well known and associated with popular heroes such as Superman or the Rambo sequels.
Okay. So let's just see here that we have the meaning. What are genres and how are they defined? We can highlight together that film genres are categories or films based on theme, setting, plots or stories, characteristics, and other specific features such as special effects, computer enhancement, animation, and etc. So we have here, this is the complete definition of the meaning film genre. Also, we can add here that there are major genres and subgenres. Now, what is the meaning? We have here major genres, which is the main type of the movie, and there are subgenres, meaning that I can mix two genres together in one movie. Now, for example, I can have action comedy, or we can say that there is some kind of detective drama. So there are different types of films that mix or combine in together. Now we have here what are genres and how are they defined. As we mentioned, we can say that this is the complete answer that we just highlighted from the paragraph. Moving on to the next paragraph or the next part. Now, what is our question? We have here,
it is not always easy to classify films as they often combine elements of different genres. Kung Fu Panda, for instance, is an animated film which can also be categorized as an action film. This is the reason why some films are listed in different categories or a category that is more popular at a given time.
Okay, so here, what's so special about this paragraph? We're going to say, we have here, now how easy is it to classify TV films? We have here from the very start, it is not always easy to classify films as they often combine elements of different genres. Okay, so a simple answer, it isn't easy. Now we have the same question. We can see that we have here the answer written. Okay, so instead of just highlighted, we can say that it is not always easy to classify films, as we mentioned in the paragraph. Now let's move on to the third question we have here. Are there distinct and permanent categories? Why or why not? So we know that categories means that there are different types or kinds. Now, are there distinct and permanent? Now, what do we mean by permanent? We mean something that is always the same. It doesn't change. Okay, so we have here, we can say, for example, that my job is permanently a teacher. Okay, so we have here, this is something that I do every day. It doesn't change. So this is something permanent. Okay, so let's listen and read together. We have here,
film genres evolve through time. Action films featuring martial arts specialists and superhuman heroes used to be very popular over a decade ago. They still exist, but they seem to have lost their initial appeal. If a film includes action and is filmed in tropical settings, is it an action film or an adventure film? Would you say that Toy Story belongs to animation as a genre or comedy? Is it more of one or the other? And if so, which?
Okay, so we have here the answer is going to be yes, from the very beginning, that film genres evolve through time. No, they can change, they evolve. There can be some kind of improvement. No, we can also add that they still exist, but they seem to have lost their initial appeal. Now we have here the answer. We can completely just write here, no, there aren't, because film genres evolve according to appeal. For example, action films with superhuman heroes used to be popular over a decade ago. They're not so popular any longer. So some film genres or some types of movies or categories, yes, they have changed. Now, coming to the last part, or the questions that we have, what are the distinguishing characteristics of different genres? And underline, highlight words, phrases, or sentences that provide the answer. So actually, what we are going to do, we are going to just go back from the very beginning. You are going to listen, and then we are going to list again what are the parts that we need. So let's start.
Film genres evolve through time. Action films featuring martial arts specialists and superhuman heroes used to be very popular over a decade ago. They still exist, but they seem to have lost their initial appeal. If a film includes action and is filmed in tropical settings, is it an action film or an adventure film? Would you say that Toy Story belongs to animation as a genre or comedy? Is it more of one or the other? And if so, which?
Okay, so we have here, let's just see what we have. Now we can say that there are action films. We have here featuring martial arts specialists and human heroes. There are also adventure films that are mentioned. There are tropical settings also that are included in adventure films. And there are also animation. So these are different genres, including what we have here, comedy. So these are all mentioned in the first part that we have. Yes, let's start and complete.
Detective films are developed around stories of criminal actions and include elements of mystery and suspense. Dramas, on the other hand, are serious films, portraying realistic life situations, character development, and interaction. They include a number of subcategories, for example melodramas, biographies, or biopics. Epics are usually costume dramas, historical dramas, or war dramas in extravagant settings with lavish costumes. They are sometimes a more spectacular version of a biopic film, such as The Last Emperor.
Okay, so let's see what we have here. We have detective films, as we studied. We have also criminal actions that include the elements of mystery and suspense. We have dramas, which are serious films portraying realistic life situations, character development, and interaction. We have also biopics, are another type of category, and also epics. Historical dramas or war dramas are extravagant settings with lavish costumes. Moving on.
Horror films are designed and produced to frighten audiences. They are sometimes combined with science fiction when, for example, Earth is invaded by an alien monster. Science fiction films, on the other hand, are often visionary, with futuristic technology and extraordinary creatures from outer space. One of the most famous examples of this genre is E.T.
So what do we have here in this part? So we can see that there are horror films, which are usually frightening and combined with science fiction. We have also science fiction actually, and we have, of course, what we know about science fiction, that they are often visionary, with futuristic technology and extraordinary creatures from outer space. Next. Okay.
War films portray the horror and destruction of war and are often combined with documentary excerpts. They are also paired with other genres depending on the story, for example action, adventure, drama, comedy, etc. Finally, westerns represent one of the oldest genres with easily recognizable plots, elements, and characters, including horses, dusty towns, Indians and cowboys, good and bad guys, a sheriff and deputies, etc. In other words, they follow a common formula which has been modified, developed, expanded, supplemented, and revisited over the years.
Yes, so what we have in this part, we can see that there are war films, and we have here, which is of course associated with the horror and destruction of the war, and combined with documentary We have here experts. We have here westerns, which are recognizable plots, elements, and characters, including horses, dusty towns, Indians and cowboys, good and bad guys, a sheriff, and so on. Okay, moving on to our next paragraph. You can see that we have here a short paragraph, so let's see what we have special.
If you look up film genres in different sources, you will find that they share some categories but not others. Once again, this is quite natural, given the evolutionary nature of film genres and changing trends in popularity that reflect overall social and financial trends.
Okay, so we have reached the end of our paragraph here. Now we're going to answer the question, what are the distinguishing characteristics of different genres? Now you can see that we highlighted the genres and what is so special about each genre here. Now here, mainly you can see that we have here a lot to discuss. So I'm going to just divide the chart for you in two parts. Now we can say that the genre in general, we can say that we highlighted action, adventure, comedy, drama, animation, epics, biopics, detective, horror, war, western, and science fiction. Now we're going to just go back and just divide them so it can be clear for you. We have the first part. Now genres, we have action, which are martial arts, superhuman heroes. We have adventure, we highlighted something about tropical, unusual setting. Comedy, what's so special about comedy? We can associate it with funny and also animated sometimes. And we have here drama, something that is serious, realistic life situations, character development, and interaction. Moving on with our types, we have here animation, which is cartoon design, as we know. We have epics, which is usually connected to historical war, extravagant settings, lavish costumes, spectacular version of biopic film. And biopics are a film based on a true story. We have also detective, as we discussed many times. We have here criminal, action, mystery, and suspense are all associated with the mystery or the genre of mystery, the detective stories. Leading us to horror. Now we have here frightened audiences combined with science fiction sometimes. We have war. Now war, there is something about horror and destruction of war documentary paired with other genres. Western, there is something about old recognizable plots, as we said, cowboys, Indians, there are horses, and so on. And we mentioned at the very end that we have science fiction, which is visionary futuristic technology, extraordinary creatures, and outer space. Now you can do the same type of chart in your class. You can just add your pictures, drawings, and make it more creative. Now this is something that you can work on together. Now it's your turn. Now I pointed out that from the very beginning you are going to write. So this is a writing lesson, but we give complete details of the different genres and what are the words that are associated and the ideas that are connected, so you can start your writing in the next lesson, inshallah. So you're going to just put a mind that we have here to think of a TV film genre that uses a formula. For example, action, adventure, comedy, western. Choose a particular TV film in this genre as an example. So first of all, you're going to choose the genre, and then based on it, you're going to choose a TV film that you're going to write about. Number two, think about the different parts of the formula. Use a diagram to make notes. Now note that you are not going to write a story. You're not going to write about the movie itself, but about the formula of the movie and the different elements that we have. Here you can see from the book, or like the chart that I have here. Now you can use this chart to write the details and the parts of the TV genre, or the title. Of course, you're going to write the title and the different genres or types. And also you have on page number 20 or 57, sorry. Number 3, write an expository essay in which you reveal and explain the formula behind the film. So if you remember that we wrote different types of essays, we had the descriptive essay, and now we are going to also write an expository essay. So be ready, just think about your movie and think about the genre, and we're going to go back to it again in our next lesson, inshallah. Our outline of the day, We compared between films and documentaries. We discussed film genres. We read and listened, enumerated types, highlighted characteristics, and we organized our writing steps. So which is going to be the first step? The first step is just to think, start your chart, and be ready.